Hello everyone and welcome to our September 2018 anticipated releases video. My name is Mike.
Nick.
Travis.
And CJ.
Yeah, and this is going to be a pretty big month, I think. We had a couple slow months the last few. But honestly, this time it was kind of hard for us figuring out what we wanted to do. I think because there were so many games that we all wanted to do. So I think this time everyone has two games that they're actually like legitimately fond of as opposed to like having to pick some random game that we just learned about. So I don't want to waste time.
Or we have more than two games that we wanted to talk about, but other people are covering those games.
Yeah, so I think we ended up with 8 total games that everyone loves. So I'm not going to waste any more time because I'm sure we're going to be talking forever about these. So who wants to get started?
I think either Travis or CJ should.
Ooh.
Oh, I guess I'm starting since Travis just pointed at me. So I guess I'll start with my first game, which is I guess we'll go with SpiderMan first, the new SpiderMan game releasing for the PlayStation 4 and on September 7th. It looks like a great game. I love open world games, and who can't beat a superhero game, right? And it has been a Spider-Man game come out in quite a long time. I'm not really sure when the last Spider-Man game really came out. I mean, I remember playing Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1 back in middle school, and I know Travis did a nice little Spider-Man playthrough. Probably
nice little rage montage.
It was the most enjoyable game.
Very relaxing.
I had a good time watching you play the game.
Oh, I know. You were there laughing the whole time.
Yes. And that one was very story-driven and very linear. This one's supposed to be very open world and use a lot more different elements in the game. Like they say, stealth's going to be a very big aspect of the game, which is kind of odd seeing as being a Spider-Man game, but because a lot of superhero games are just kind of run and punch things in the face.
Well, yeah, because when you're in the costume, you don't exactly blend in with the crowd, unless if there's a Spider-Man convention going on.
You are a big red spider, so. But anyway, it also has a lot of cool aspects of the game, like, swinging around the city. They're adding in a lot of parkour elements to the game that will make just traveling around the city be a lot more fun and enjoyable versus just, like, swinging web to web and trying to get to where you're going. So it seems like a really fun game. The combat looks good. Everything about the game looks really good too. They're actually releasing a Spider-Man edition of the PlayStation 4 as well. It's an all-red console with a Spider-Man logo on top with a red controller. It looks really good. It's really slick.
It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah. So maybe if I didn't buy my new Pro a couple months ago, maybe I would have picked that one up. But it's all good. We'll think about it.
Yeah. I think that game looks cool. I don't know how the one you played was, Travis, but this one seems like it has a lot more combos as far as the combat. It seems a lot more like the Arkham series.
There were like 4 different things that you're able to do in the 64
Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't seem like there was much going on with that one, but this one seems like there's a lot more to it. And I remember the E3 trailer, they had like this big chase scene where you're like swinging through the city trying to like catch up to one of the villains in it. And so you have to like parkour over buildings and things like that. So I like it that it's not just like randomly flying through a city. There's like a goal and a purpose with it too, and it makes it like super intense that you're like flying through the city like that. So this one looks like it's gonna be awesome. I feel like they put so much effort into it.
Mike, you might know the answer to this, but how long did it take for this game to come out though? Because I thought if I remember correctly, I thought there was like a Spider-Man trailer released for like E3 2014. So this has been in the works for a while. So it could either mean that it had a lot of issues when it was going through development, or maybe it has a lot of polish, which would be even nicer. But I mean, I'm kind of curious.
I do know it had a huge overhaul. Like the game drastically changed from what it was going to be at first. Okay. I'm not sure if it was because the original idea was bad, or if it's just because like they had a new idea. But I do know like what it is now is drastically different than what it was going to be like.
Okay. Just curious about that.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it looks beautiful for what I've seen, so I'm looking forward to stealing it from CJ.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
Oh, well, fair enough. I guess I will go next, if Mike doesn't mind.
No, go ahead, man.
Oh, sweet. I get to talk about some more Dragon Quest, man. I'm not sure if you guys remember before when I talked about Dragon Quest builders and stuff like that. This time I'm going to be talking about Dragon Quest XI. And I know a couple things about this game because one of the things that was, I'm not sure if you guys remember, I talked about it a while back, but this game actually had a 3DS version of it that was made for Dragon Quest XI. I mean, I believe it's only coming out to PS4, if I remember correctly, right now, at least in the States. But in Japan, they got a 3DS version of it. And what was super cool about that is that the top screen of the game was like the normal like 3D graphics that you would expect from the 3DS. But the bottom screen was actually a demake of the game, so you could see it in the old 2D Dragon Quest kind of style before. So instead of running through the dungeons and like you would expect a 3D model would do, you could literally do it as like a 2D kind of sprite, and I think that was super, super cool. But the States aren't getting that version of the game, which makes me super, super pissed. And I don't even think we're getting it on the Switch for a while. I think it was delayed, or maybe they're not making it anymore. I'm not sure about that one at all, because I haven't heard anything about it yet. But all the issues with the actual versions aside, it looks like a really good game. The Dragon Quest, I guess, kind of series as like a whole has kind of been the middle child in Square Enix's family to Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, really. Yeah. So it's kind of been like, especially ignored in the States. But in Japan, Dragon Quest has a cult following, so much so that like people will take off work when the new Dragon Quest game comes out. It's crazy. Like, the Final Fantasy has a huge following. The Final Fantasy following that's in the States is like the Dragon Quest following in Japan. It's super, super cool. But this game looks amazing, just a typical turn-based JRPG, which is what you'd expect from the Dragon Quest line. Dragon Quest doesn't really like to change much. Like, Final Fantasy used to like give a lot of different iterations and evolve as like the times go on. Dragon Quest really likes to stick with the turn-based combat that it has, and it's kind of sticking with that with this game. And so a lot of people who really like that kind of play style and that kind of gameplay just in general are really going to like that, because it's going to be a typical JRPG with no funny business. So they know what they're buying right away. And that's what I think is really cool about this game. It doesn't have to do too much, because they know that Dragon Quest is still a solid franchise. The characters are designed by Akira Toriyama, and so they always are amazing. I'm really excited to see it. Once I get a PS4, I'll probably pick up this game.
I do have something to say about that, actually. I've never played a Dragon Quest game since. I've almost never even heard of the series. But this new one coming out, this is one that actually really caught my eye, because I do turn-based combat is kind of in my blood since Final Fantasy 1. So playing Travis's it sparked a little more in me. But Dragon Quest 11 really caught my eye as well.
Oh, it looks fantastic, honestly, and the only issue is the only issue is that I'm not going to be able to play the 3DS version, and that's what makes me very, very sad. Yeah. That's my main issue with it. If they gave me the 3DS version of this game, oh my god, I'd play the shit out of it. I would drop every other game that I was playing. But because of the fact that it's coming, I think it's really only
PC and
I guess
PS4.
The Nintendo version is not good. Yeah, PC, PS4, it's not gonna be like a game that I'll probably play for a while, sadly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, version differences aside, it looks like a solid turn-based JRPG.
Sweet. I don't really have much to add to a game like that, but it does make a good segue to a game that I want to talk about that I know Nick wants to talk about also, and that is Valkyria Chronicles 4. Because the big thing is, Nick said Dragon Quest has always sort of had its template turn-based combats. Valkyria Chronicles, for those of you that haven't heard of it, this game is like the most random battle system of any game that I've ever seen. But it's a really good one at the same time, too. They have something called the Blitz battle system, and the way it works is super interesting, because depending on the moment and what you're doing, it can be a turn-based game that plays somewhat similar to Fire Emblem, or it can be a third-person shooter game, similar to something like, I don't know, I can't say Call of Duty because that's first-person, but it's not really like Gears of War, but Fortnite. It's a third-person, like, real-time shooter. Kind of like Fortnite, for like a single-player game. So it's a combat system that changes depending on like what you're doing and how the combat's going, and so Valkyria Chronicles it's a very unique style of RPG, I think, and it blends these sort of things together, but it does it in a smooth way. And what's interesting is they just made a game called Valkyria Revolution that got pretty bad reviews. People didn't like it. Yeah, it changed the game too much from what it used to be. From what I've seen of Valkyria Chronicles 4, it seems like it's trying to twist back and sort of do what the older games did, which is good. Because again, we see the same thing time and again. When a company tries to change your system too much, it turns people off. Whether or not it's good is almost irrelevant. Like Paper Mario Color Splash wasn't a horrible battle system, but it's bad because they changed it drastically. And I think people feel that way about any game that's really ever come out. If you change something too much, it rubs people the wrong way. Final Fantasy 15 is another good example. So I will say Valkyria Chronicles 4 seems like it's sort of twisting back and trying to do what it used to do, but I feel like it's still evolving in that same sense. The graphics of the game are absolutely beautiful. For those of you that, you're looking at the footage now, of course, but it's a very unique art style as far as having like the little border around the characters. The models in it look very interesting. I don't know much about the story, but I've heard that the stories in these games are really good. It's a lot of warfare, and it's like actual just like raw warfare with just anime-looking characters. And so it's pretty interesting the way it's designed. So, you know, I would recommend it. I've only played a little bit of one of the games in the series, but this one looks like it's a step up.
I was going to say, Mike, you almost read a lot of my mind when you were saying that, because I was going to mention Valkyria Revolution and about how people got so mad about the fact that it started to go in an action way. And I think when we were talking about like the older versions of like these systems that like we've grown up with, I guess, or I mean like even the ones before our time, talking about the NES and the Super Nintendo and whatnot, when companies try to make that switch, I think they're at least more welcome to the change nowadays. But I think now that we have just more games out there nowadays, it's kind of harder. Or if a company tries to make a drastic overhaul, people will get really mad and actually fight back. So when people saw Valkyria Chronicles 4 come out, they're like, oh sweet, it's coming back to like the original what it was supposed to be or what it was before, and it's something that they already know what they already know what they like, and they already know what they want to play. Really, it's been described as a military tactics like RPG, which I think is super cool. And I was going to talk about like the dynamic kind of switch of the battle system as well, where again like you can kind of looks like an RTS game where you can set up your units in that way, but you can go into that kind of like unit mode where you can actually like give that specific unit commands, it looks like. And that's what I think is really cool about this, where it's a very dynamic tactical kind of game where Fire Emblem can try to mimic that, where you kind of change the camera view in a way and have units next to each other, but in every sense of the word, like it's in the way of giving the fight a dynamic feel. It's still a turn-based tactics game, and it will be that way for probably a decent amount more iterations down the road, because if it ain't broke, why fix it? But yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool thing to see how this game gets received.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited for this.
I haven't heard much about this game, but I did download the free demo on the Switch because I saw that there was a demo, and why not download something for free? And I may or may not have uploaded up the demo as you guys were talking, because I'm like, I might be able to contribute something.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, made by Sega.
Yeah. So Sonic confirmed in this game.
You never know. It could be DLC, man.
That's true. Crazier things have happened.
They're coming to the new Smash game confirmed.
Oh,
the Valkyria people, and then they'll just assume it's Fire Emblem because it's anime looking.
Yeah, honestly, people wouldn't know the difference.
Every anime-looking character is Fire Emblem. Shulk, he's Fire Emblem.
Yeah. Just a different symbol.
Yep, he's got a sword. Well, Travis, what do you have for us?
Okay, so the first game I'm going to talk about is Spyro Trilogy. Woo! Because I haven't actually played a Spyro game in God knows how long. It's been... I just remember I had like 2 or 3 different Spyro games that were super fun, and I played a crap ton of them as a kid, and I haven't been able to enjoy it. And then I watched Mike play it on our channel, however long ago that was, and I'm like, man, I really want to play Spyro again. And then here it is, a new updated HD version of it, and like Crash ended up being a really cool trilogy. We only played the first one of that, but I'm super excited because it gives me an opportunity to actually, go back to my nostalgic self, but not have to deal with the old stuff, because TVs are just getting harder and harder to get an N64 plugged into.
That's true. That's true. I was going to say, Mike, I'm not sure if you saw this too, but some news that came out with that Spyro Remastered trilogy. And one thing that I'm actually pretty pissed about is the fact that if you buy the physical copy of the game, you still have to download the other 2 games. So like the physical copy comes with 1 game, but you have to download the other 2. And in my mind, I just think that that's so damn stupid. I don't know if you saw that, but I was watching some YouTube video on it, and they were talking about it. I was like, what the hell are you thinking? That literally defeats the whole purpose of getting a digital game versus a physical game overall. And I mean, again, I've been buying a lot of digital games for the Switch. It's not the fact that I have an issue with digital games, or just the digital way of purchasing games. The issue is that if somebody wants to buy a physical copy of the game, let them buy that physical copy of the game, install it on their system, and then let them play that version of the game. If you have to download the other 2, sometimes people get the physical copy of the game because their Wi-Fi isn't that good and they just want to enjoy a single-player experience. Why do you have to download the other 2 games? And what it's telling me, I don't know, this is complete speculation, is that it's rushed and they're not fitting all of the games on there right away, and so they're already printing them out, and so they are going to supplement it later on, and I don't like that.
But it doesn't even make sense to me because the games are not huge games, you know, they're remakes of older games. Like Crash Bandicoot Trilogy was able to fit all their games on one disc. I don't see why 3 classic remakes would not be able to fit on one disc as far as like memory and space goes. So that really confuses me too, because I'm like, it should all fit on there. And it just seems like a lack of organization. I don't know what the menu is going to look like, but if it turns into like having 3 different slots on the screen for each of the different Spyro games, it's going to get annoying to kind of go back and forth and try to figure it all out. I feel like it's just going to add extra clutter onto like the user interface for like the actual like main menu on a game system. It just seems like a weird way to handle it. So I don't know.
And with the Switch's UI too, like you don't need to put more clutter on there. I think the Switch's UI, I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's good in the same way.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I would even say PlayStations. I'm not a huge fan of PlayStations either, because it looks similar to the Nintendo Switches, and I feel like having 3 Spyro games take up like a limited amount of space on the UI already, it's just gonna look funky to me. I will say, as far as like the actual remake goes, it looks good, because I remember when it first was announced and it was like a rumor, the Spyro model looked disgusting. But then, like, when they had the actual, like, announcement from, like, the official company, it looked a lot better. So the remake does look really beautiful, similar to the Crash Bandicoot one. So the game itself looks good. We're not knocking that. It's just the way they're implementing it is kind of strange.
Yeah, it's just a weird way to do it. I mean, I still think the game will be good, and I still have high hopes for it because, again, it's Spyro, and it's these kind of old-school platformers that are being remastered, and I want them to do good, just to at least show game companies that we still want games like that, and I'll probably be picking it up for myself, too. But, it's just that issue of I don't understand what kind of thinking you would be having if a physical copy still requires you to do something like that. And it's just like, for me it just shows like a lack of organization or a lack of planning, and it maybe I don't think this game's being rushed, but it's maybe this game just got slipped through the cracks, or maybe they're not focusing enough time or enough resources on it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Sweet.
We on round 2?
Yeah, it looks like it. So my next game that I'm going to talk about is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, coming out September 14th for PC, PS4, Xbox One. And it's another Tomb Raider game. I mean, who can't love some Lara Croft action? There's been 2 games previously in the series, so this is going to be number 3. And this takes place right after the last one, Rise of the Tomb Raider. And it pretty much kind of gets more into Lara Croft's background. There's always been this mystery involving her dad and the work he was doing, so this is gonna kind of take more of a role there, and go into more of what he was doing, and it's gonna involve, I believe, like a Mayan kind of theme. The one thing I wasn't a huge fan when I saw some of the videos for this game was that they're adding a lot of like underwater kind of levels and adventure modes, and I mean, underwater stuff can only go so far in my mind. I have some probably bad experiences with that, but
I hope they give her a snorkel.
But the game overall looks good. I mean, the gameplay of that game, of all the Tomb Raider games, has been really good. I don't know, Travis, have you played any of the Tomb Raider games?
I've only played one Tomb Raider game, and it was on the original Xbox.
Oh, God.
So, yes, but not to its full potential. Because
it's a lot different these days.
I never even beat that game because I had zero idea how to beat this one boss that was in it, and I was confused as hell. And
yeah,
that'll do it. But the gameplay of these games are really good. It's very open world, using stealth, using any kind of way you want to do it.
Yeah, because I watched Mike play one of them that was on the Xbox One. It looked really cool.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another game I'm really excited for. It looks really good. As long as it keeps to what it's done the last 2 games, I think it should be really good.
Yeah, it seems like they're like adding so much more stealth stuff to it too. Because the last couple games had a lot of it, but this one seems like it has a lot more. Like that jungle demo I remember they were showing off, where like you had a lot more options as far as like different weapons. There were like sleeping darts and things like that you can really use to like manipulate the guards and get around your setting. It almost seems like it's to the point of Assassin's Creed now, as far as like the variety of tools you have in your arsenal. So, you know, it just seems like they're taking the last game and adding more to it. But like you said, I feel like there's a limit, because I also do not like underwater sections and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that's like just a small portion of it, because I can deal with it if it's just like a little gimmick they throw in for like a section or two. I just don't want it to be like underwater battling and things like that, because that would get really obnoxious.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I remember they were showing a new one of like caverns and stuff you can explore, and just like I don't want to deal with that. And
yeah, it's like a neat idea, but it's kind of like ice places where I just instantly get turned off from ice platforming.
Yes.
Right.
And underwater physics is just as bad in all of the Mario games.
Well, it's bad because I know that they're gonna be like optional things you can do, but knowing me, whenever I play these games, I always go do them.
Right.
Because you have to.
I will say this, like, underwater things are like so hard to get right, like, especially in terms of exploration, like Tomb Raider's known for. Like, that is, I think, a new front that hasn't been discovered as much, so I can see why they're implementing water. But in the way of water, that's such a risky thing to do, because I can probably count the list of games on one hand of how many games that did water physics right.
Yeah.
And like there are very few ones. Like, and I'd probably have to cite like Mario Odyssey and like Majora's Mask and stuff like that. Otherwise, water levels are almost absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, but Mario Odyssey got
majority
the
of
cheat
water
that you
levels
actually became a fish. So
yeah, makes it easier.
In both of those games, you became like a fish creature or fish-like creature. So yeah, if you can become a fish,
I think it's just how slow you go in water.
Right.
It's just that's the biggest thing. Is you feel like you're not getting enough done in that time.
Mm-hmm. Which is why when you become a fish, you usually go faster. So you're like, okay, I'm being productive again.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm just glad to get away from the
Croft becomes a fish, it's going to be trash.
But honestly, and if she became a fish, I don't know.
Laura
Wouldn't
Croft
surprise me.
fish version.
She'd be like one of those
still
mermaids.
be half naked.
Of course.
Probably, of course.
If they don't have those triangle boobs, man, I'm not paying for that game.
Amen to that. But
all right, are we on to this next one?
Do it, Nick.
All right, so now probably the one that I'm most excited for, and by most excited for, I mean I've been waiting to talk about this for such a long time, is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, the Golden Country, and again, I don't think any of these people have played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 yet. I've thrown almost 100 hours into the main story of the game, and this basically
Chronicles X first, which I know the stories aren't related, but you know.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, and 2 are sort of related. It's kind of confusing. But the reason that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the DLC for it that's coming out is going to be so cool is going to be expensive DLC, but it's basically going to be like a brand new game. There's going to be some questionable things that are going on with the kind of like the pass that you can get, but as long as you can just get like the physical, not the physical copy, but just like purchase the actual DLC that goes along with the game, it's basically going to be a brand new game. Like a game that you've already known, whatnot, as you're playing through it, the same mechanics, whatever, drivers and blades, but instead, so what was hinted about for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was this backstory of a person, or not really a person, but like this blade named Jin. And I'm not going to spoil things for people, but Jin was a complete badass throughout the whole entire game. And it goes more into his past about, since he's a blade, his driver, and some of the other people that you would see just in cutscenes every now and then that would tell the story of how the story of like Rex and Pyra and that situation is taking place. So basically all of like the backstory that was hinted at and gave a build up to this original game, so it's basically going to be a prequel, is going to be what this game is going to be about. And so when I've seen gameplay of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like this DLC, it shows very high level progression. So it's going to be a lot for this DLC, but it's like paying for part 2 of this game, if you want to know what happened to lead to the events that happened in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm super excited about it. The gameplay was fantastic. I couldn't put it down at one point, and to a point where I lost a decent amount of sleep because I really fell in love with the game. And again, it's one of those things where I really want more of it. They're giving me more, so they have my money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a smart way to do it. I'm just curious, I don't know if you know, about how many hours of gameplay does it come with? Do you know?
That's a great question. I don't think it's as big as the original story, because I believe, I don't know what the level cap is on there, but I mean, you don't have to, I don't think they go, because for Xenoblade Chronicles X, the level cap is actually pretty low compared to the other Xenoblade games. But this Xenoblade game, I think I saw at least in trailers, I think I saw people fighting in like the level 50s, and I think I saw like beginning gameplay around like, I don't know, like around level 10s. So I would assume around like, this is just my assumption, because I think the main story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 took me, I'd say maybe 60 hours or so, maybe 65, and then I did some other side quest and whatnot after that. But the main, I would say that probably would give you, like, I would assume 30 to 45 hours of playtime at least.
Okay, just because I'm thinking if it's like, I think it's $40.
Yeah, it's expensive DLC, right? But it is like a new game.
Yeah, so if they're giving you like a lot of content, then obviously it's worth it. So that was what I was mostly curious about. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's worth it. Because there's that whole thing I always hear: is it a standalone game? Is it DLC? It kind of like falls in the middle, But I mean, if it has a lot of gameplay, obviously the price is going to be well worth it, regardless of it being a DLC or its own game. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean the team at Monolith Soft has done a really good job, I think, crafting the story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I will say there were a couple of side quests that highlight certain blades that, oh my god, the cutscenes were abysmal, and there might be a video coming out about that way in the distant future when I finally finish up some scripts that I'm working on. But like that is in the terms of the main story, I think Monolith Soft has done a great job of crafting each one. I would say that my favorite was probably, oh god, it might piss people off. My favorite would probably be Xenoblade Chronicles 2 out of all three of the games, which might piss off some diehard fans of the original Xenoblade Chronicles, but man, it's a really, really good story, and it has some really impactful moments. That was one of the reasons why I did the videos of all my favorite Xenoblade music, because of that. So yeah, I can talk about this, talk about how excited I am for the DLC forever, but I'm probably going to pick it up immediately once it comes out.
Right.
So, somebody else go before I keep going.
Well, so I'll talk about my...
It's my turn.
Yeah, Travis,
it's my turn.
Fine, I'll go last.
You gotta
you get your stuff
patience,
together.
Travis. Good lord, dude.
Mike, what's
know
your
place,
amazing
man. Also, I think yours is good to say for last, Travis, because of your personality.
Thank you.
I get it.
Mine is Life is Strange 2. This is the game. Oh my god, I could talk forever about how excited I am for this game. Mostly, I'm curious what it's going to be about. They've pretty much given no information on like who the main character is going to be, what its relationship is going to be to the first game and to like the Captain Spirit game that was sort of the bridge in the middle. That's kind of the reason I did a Let's Play on it, is because I wanted to talk about it, and like see what theories can we come up with to where the game is going to relate to the full-on Life is Strange 2. They've already pretty much said Life is Strange 1 is going to be completely disconnected. There might be some like Easter eggs and like hints that relate to the first game, but as far as characters go, it's going to be completely brand new, which I think is a good idea, because the way the first game ended, it would have been kind of bad if they would have tried to add on to it, because there are times where you have such a good ending, you don't want a sequel.
Right.
Because what you have already worked perfectly. So it's kind of how I felt about Last of Us and Last of Us 2, but obviously I'm still excited for that game when that game comes out. But anyway, but they are saying that the Captain Spirit game, the main character Chris, is going to be in Life is Strange 2 in some way, that they're going to continue on to a story. And I'm not going to give my theories here because it would bore everyone to death. But it is interesting that, they're trying to keep it quiet and they're trying to not give out information so that when the game does come out, there's more of a surprise there. And for those of you that don't know, this is more of a cinematic drama type game. An interactive movie is what some people call it. So you mostly just do walking and then dialogue options, but a lot of it just plays out through cutscenes and stuff. And so you're sort of just like altering a movie, which I think is kind of cool. As long as the game owns that that's what it is, those have always been some of my favorite games, because I'm just a story-oriented person. I like games that have good stories that can make you emotional, can make you stress out when you have to like make difficult choices. And Life is Strange, I would say, is probably at the top of that realm, except for maybe games developed by Quantic Dream, because Detroit Become Human was an incredible one too. But Life is Strange is good at it also. Life is Strange is good at taking real life situations too, talking about things like abusive parents, or people dying in car accidents or losing best friends, things like that. So the game hits close to home for a lot of people, and it does very good at dealing with these issues. So it's always exciting. I'm not going to ramble on for too much longer, but if you're into interactive movie dramas, this game's not going to come out till the tail end of September. So you still do have time to play Captain Spirit, to learn a little bit about Chris. That game is only about an hour. You could easily play the Life is Strange game. It's really cheap now, like $20 for a solid like 20-hour movie, basically. So I can't talk too much about what the game's story's like, because they're keeping mum on what it's about. but I already know it's going to be awesome. This company is amazing at every game they've made like this, so I would highly recommend it, and I am absolutely going to be picking this game up as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, they did such a good job with the first one. I can only imagine what they're going to do with the sequel.
Yeah, if it made Matt's get emotional, you know it's a good game, because that guy has very little emotions.
Yeah, he
So-
gives
That's
no
the true
shits.
test.
Yeah, so you can take my word when I say Matt got sad over this game. But that's about all I got for it.
I mean, I'm excited for it as well. I think, Mike, do you know if this is coming? Because I've heard, again, I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you know more about this than I do. I've heard that it's going to be that basically Life is Strange is going to be basically episodic. Is that true?
Yeah,
Like,
but the
is there
first
gonna
game
be
was like
episode
that
1
too.
that's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's like going to be like 6 Life is Stranges. I thought at least as planned.
There's 6?
Yeah.
Damn.
8.
I'm
Wait,
not
how
su-
many?
I don't know the exact number. It is episodic. It annoys me in one way, but I also like it because it forces you to stop playing the game, and then you have time to like think and reflect, and then when it comes back, you can revisit it. So you can't just binge play it in like one sitting, you know? Like it forces you to like slowly go through the game, and it gives you more time to explore, go back, try different options. So I think
Come on,
doing
Mike,
it
you're
this way is better.
Mike, you're supposed to be a modern gamer and demand all 6 parts right away. Come on, dude. What are you doing?
Right? I'm sorry. Oopsie.
How dare
No,
you?
I want all 6 parts right away so I don't have to leave my TV for a week. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, the episodic thing, it can be annoying. Final Fantasy VII trying to do episodes is really going to piss me off. But for an interactive movie type game, I think it works a lot better because it's like a TV
That's
show.
true.
So
That's true.
I like it for this.
Yeah, because it
All
worked
right,
out for
Travis,
Walking
you gonna-
Dead and
yeah.
stuff, so
That's all I
I'm
got.
sure they'll do it in a good pacing.
All right, Travis, you wanna take us on home?
Okay, so probably the best game that's coming out next month, like hands
Oh, for
down,
sure.
is NBA 2K. I can't wait to get my hands on this game. It comes with a warning that it will start aneurysms from stress. Will also come with drywall, just in case, and a new controller in case you throw it across the room.
They're calling that the Travis edition.
Yeah. It's specifically made for me because they know how passionate I am about this game.
God.
But it comes with all
He
of the
loves
same
them.
features that it's come with for years. You can look at their sweat with the graphics because that's cool. Updated rosters, of course. Online play so you can hate people on the internet. And yeah, I'm super excited about it.
You know what the best part is, Travis?
What?
You don't have to worry about Tim Duncan in this one because he's retired
Oh, that's
now.
right. He won't be a 3-point specialist anymore.
Yeah, so you're good now.
Joaquin will
Dang
probably
it,
still be
that's
a
the only
3-point
player I
specialist,
play.
That's funny.
I love my boy Tim Duncan. We have the same number, 21. Just saying.
Yeah.
though. You're 21.
I know that's not important, but I just wanted to say it. Either way, I don't really have much to say about 2K, honestly. I mean, it's going to be another 2K game. Hopefully this one will have a little bit less of the whole money grabbing kind of thing, but I don't think that's really going to happen.
It's too.
They-
There's money grabbing.
It's 2K. They're going to release a regular edition that you're going to have to work for all the stats. They're going to release a silver edition for $80, and then a gold edition for $250. Who doesn't want to pay the same price for a console as a game?
Right.
Who knows?
But I didn't look at what their My Player was, but the last couple have kind of pissed me off because there's like a huge story mode to it, and you can get in trouble because your teammates get you in trouble, and it's stupid. You can get suspended for games because of things that they make you do, and then you're like automatically in the
that.
ghetto. And
The
Yeah.
best My Player moment I had was when I made a rookie or something, and I think it was 2K18. And I had a moment in like the second game where it was like my teammate was like getting in a fight, and I had the decision to step in, but I would get ejected or walk away from the fight. So I was like, well, I want to finish the game. Like, I'm carrying this team. So I walked away from the fight, and then I got in trouble with my teammates.
Right.
They're like, morality down 1,000 points. And I'm like, but I won us the game.
Doesn't matter, CJ. You're supposed to throw some
I
punches.
guess so.
It's like the same thing
funny.
where if you get a block in that game, if they get the rebound after you blocked it, you lose a shit ton of points because you allowed an offensive rebound.
Oh, yeah.
It's such trash. I'm like, no, I blocked you. It's good.
Plus 10, minus 100.
Yeah. It. Oh, like,
It's bad.
It drives me insane. But if NHL 19 was coming out on Switch, I would actually have really nice things to say about it because it's my favorite sports games because you have so much more
Except for
control
Super
over
Mario
what's going on.
Strikers.
But it's not, so it's dead to me.
That's fair.
I will say this, sort of on the topic, but it's a little bit different, is this is kind of a chance for redemption for a lot of these sports games because last year was god-awful. I downloaded FIFA 18 because it was like $10, down from its $60 price, and I was a waste of my money because it's not playable. Because if you update to the live rosters in that game, the franchise mode crashes and you can't play it unless you do some certain things. So the game is pretty much unplayable, FIFA. And NHL, as great as that game is, that game had a lot of money grubbing too, and obviously 2K is horrible about that. NBA Live, when it came back, was supposed to be like the redemption, and that was garbage. And so pretty much every sport game last year sucked awful. And September is always like the sports month, because that's when FIFA comes out, that's when NHL comes out, that's when all the NBA games come out.
Yeah.
So I know they're not going to do better, because we've given them so many chances and they never do. It's pretty much been since 2K12 that I've really enjoyed a 2K game.
Well, because the problem with sports games is you can only add so many things to it before it's just not even the sports game anymore. They did the Madden moments in football a couple times. Those were cool, but same end now they're not even original. They're expected to be in the game.
Right.
And then why bother getting the same game every year if it's just a handful of people who are actually being changed?
Yeah.
I will say there's this very specific audience for each one of those games, and they're die hard for those games. There are people that go,
Yeah.
NBA 2K19 comes out, I have to get it, I have to start playing it immediately. That's how we are.
And then you throw away 18.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's how I'm sure a lot of us would be with let's say a new Pokemon game came out. We would throw away everything else and play a new Pokemon
I'm
game.
not getting the Pokemon this year.
I would keep my Pokemon games. I don't think
Yeah, I
Pokemon's
haven't
the
even
best
gotten a
example
new
of this,
Pokemon
CJ.
game since Fire Red.
But you know what I mean? You if
I know
a
what
new
you mean.
Pokemon game
Once a newer
comes out-
version of a game comes out, if
have
it
to
doesn't
get
have a really storied
I've
franchise
definitely done
and
my
nothing
research.
changes.
And Smash Bros. I've obsessively been... I can't freaking wait till December.
Oh, yeah.
But it kind of is like Smash Bros. Too, though, every time an update comes out for the game.
Yeah.
99% of people have no idea about the updates, but if you play it competitively, you're like, oh yeah, now Ness has this debuffed, and that's what the sports games are like. Each year they add oh, now you can do a dynamic hit stick move, and it's we don't care at all, but if you're really into the franchise, you notice those things big time.
Game changer.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, now it's all new.
Also, I will say this as well, is that as much as I hate to say it, there is a stigma with playing certain games. Some of the games that I play, I would be seen as a weeb, and I'm okay with that because I think those games are fun as hell. But there isn't really as much of a stigma that comes with playing a sports game. The sports games are seen as, oh man, you're playing, let's chill out for a night and let's play some FIFA. And it's just even though I like FIFA, it's just I don't really give a shit really compared to the other games. I'll have more fun playing Super Mario Strikers than I will FIFA, so I don't really need the realistic things there. But FIFA doesn't really have that stigma for it. People will always admit to playing that, as I don't admit to a lot of people that I just finished playing Yeast 8 Lacrimosa of Donna because they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just it's as much as I hate to say it, but I mean certain games carry certain stigmas, and we've seen that with other games that we've played. I mean, I think Danganronpa is a good example of it. Even though it's a great game, people don't give it the time of the day, which it really should. It was the same way with Doki Doki Literature Club. You have to. It's for a different audience. What CJ said was right.
Yeah, but I mean, the stigma makes sense, I guess, in a way, because in an actual FIFA game, you use techniques that actual soccer players use. You're gonna do more crosses to try to get in. You're gonna actually set your lineup and your formations and things like that. In Strikers, you don't do that. Your strategy is throw a bomb at the opponent so they all die.
And it's awesome.
Right. And yeah, I mean, we love it, but I think that's why it's different. Is you play as sports games because you like the actual sport. I can't play as Liverpool and Strikers, so if I want to represent my team and use my guys, I gotta play FIFA. I can't play Strikers. So it all just depends on what your experience is trying to be.
Yeah, I will say this too, Mike. Good choice on the English Premier League team right there.
Thank you.
There was one of 3 acceptable answers, and you picked one of them.
Yeah, I'm glad I passed.
Yeah, just saying.
But I think that probably will do it for us, right, guys?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, clearly there's like a million games coming out this month. Our recent discussion showed, if you're a sports fan, there's plenty of stuff coming out. If you like JRPGs, you got like Valkyria Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles, Dragon Quest. I mean, there's something for everybody out there this month. So, hopefully you've been saving your money, because this is the month that I think people are going to start blowing a lot of their money. And October, I think, is even more intense. It's going to settle down a bit after that, but there's still some huge blockbuster releases coming out in the future. So, as always, let us know what you guys are going to be buying this month, what games you're interested in, what games we talked about that you're maybe not as interested in, what you think about all this stuff. So, yeah, we love hearing what you guys have to say. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.